Hey there, friends. Imagine this, it's a cold Friday night, and the air feels crisp and fresh. I'm just a regular guy, let's call me Jake, and I'm sitting in my backyard, all cozy by a little fire pit. The fire's popping and snapping, making those fun noises that sound like tiny fireworks. I've got a stick with a fluffy marshmallow on it, holding it over the flames. It's turning golden brown, and the smell. Oh man, it's so yummy, like a warm hug in the air. Above me, the sky is dark and sparkly, full of twinkling stars that look like little dots of magic. Everything feels perfect. Life feels pretty good right now. I live in a small house in a quiet neighborhood. It's the kind of place where people smile and wave when they see you. You know, like, hey, good morning, or nice day, huh? Most folks here mind their own business. They water their flowers, walk their dogs, and let everyone else do their thing. It's peaceful. I like it that way. My house isn't big or fancy, just a little spot with a porch, a grassy yard, and this awesome backyard where I can chill by my fire pit. Tonight, I'm happy. The stars are out, the marshmallows are roasting, and I'm thinking, wow, this is the best way to end the week. But hold on, because not everyone in this neighborhood is chill. Nope. There's one person who's about to mess up my perfect night. Her name is Karen. And she's not just any Karen. Oh no, this is HOA Karen. What's HOA, you ask? It stands for Homeowners Association. It's like a club for people who live here, and they make rules to keep the neighborhood nice. Sounds okay, right? Well, Karen takes it way too far. She's like the boss of all the rules, the queen of complaints. If your grass is 1 inch too tall, she's mad. If your dog barks once, she's writing it down. If you put up a tiny flag on your porch, she's knocking on your door with a frown. Everyone knows her. And trust me, nobody likes her. So, picture me sitting there, all happy with my fire pit. The flames are dancing, orange and yellow, and I'm just relaxing. I've got a blanket over my legs because it's a little chilly, and I'm sipping some hot cocoa from a mug. It's sweet and warm, and I'm smiling to myself. My backyard isn't huge, just a patch of grass with a wooden fence around it. I've got a couple of chairs and this fire pit I bought last summer. It's small, round, and made of metal, with little legs so it sits off the ground. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do on a Friday: light a fire, roast some marshmallows, and just enjoy the quiet. But then, I hear something. A sound. It's faint at first, like a little tap tap tap. I look up from my marshmallow and squint into the dark. The street lights are glowing a little ways away, and I see a shadow moving. Uh-oh. My stomach does a tiny flip. I know that shadow. It's Karen. She's coming. And she doesn't look happy. Now, before I tell you what happens next, let me give you a quick picture of Karen. She's tall and skinny, with short hair that's always super neat. She wears these big glasses that make her eyes look huge, and she's always carrying a clipboard. Yep, a clipboard. Like she's a teacher grading us all. She lives across the street from me in a house that's way too perfect. Her lawn is green and smooth, like a carpet. Her flowers are in straight rows, and she's got these little signs that say stuff like no parking and keep off grass. She's the kind of person who thinks she's in charge of everyone. And tonight? She's got her sights set on me. I take a deep breath and try to stay calm. Maybe she's just walking by, I think. Maybe she won't notice my fire pit. But deep down, I know better. Karen notices everything. Sure enough, she stops right at the edge of my yard. She's standing there, staring at me. Her lips are pressed tight, like she just ate a sour lemon. I can see the firelight flickering in her glasses, and it makes her look kind of spooky. My marshmallow's still on the stick, but I'm not eating it now. I'm just watching her, waiting. Hey, Jake, she yells. Her voice is loud and sharp, cutting through the quiet night like a knife. I jump a little in my chair. What do you think you're doing with that fire pit? She asks. Oh boy. Here we go. Hi, Karen, I say, trying to sound nice. I'm just roasting marshmallows. It's Friday night, you know? Just chilling. I hold up my stick with the marshmallow, like it's proof I'm not doing anything bad. The fire's small, tiny, really. It's not even smoky. I made sure of that. I checked the rules too. The HOA says little fire pits like mine are okay as long as they're safe. And mine's super safe. I've got a bucket of water right next to me, just in case. But Karen doesn't care about that. She crosses her arms and taps her foot on the ground. Tap tap tap. A fire pit, she says, like I just told her I'm building a rocket ship. That's dangerous, Jake. It's against the rules. I'm going to have to do something about this. She pulls out her phone from her pocket and starts waving it around. I'm calling 911, she says. This is a safety hazard. I blink at her. Karen, it's just a fire pit, I say. It's not hurting anyone. Look, it's tiny. I point at it, hoping she'll see how small it is. The flames are barely a foot high, just enough to toast my marshmallow. But she shakes her head, like I'm the silliest person she's ever met. No excuses, she snaps. You're breaking the rules, and I'm in charge of keeping this neighborhood safe. She starts dialing her phone, holding it up to her ear. I can hear the little beeps as she presses the buttons. My heart sinks. Really? 911? Over a fire pit? This is nuts. Now, here's the thing, and this is where it gets really good. Karen's standing there, all proud and bossy, thinking she's about to ruin my night. She's glaring at my fire pit like it's the worst thing she's ever seen. But what she doesn't know, what she has no idea about, is that someone else is already watching her. Yep, you heard me. While she's busy yelling at me, there's something going on that's way bigger than my little fire. And it's about to flip her whole world upside down. But I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Oh no, that's coming later. You've got to stick with me to find out. So, I'm sitting there, watching Karen make her big scene. The fire's still crackling, and my marshmallow's starting to droop off the stick because I'm too distracted to eat it. I'm thinking, man, why can't she just leave me alone? I mean, it's Friday night. I worked all week, and all I wanted was some quiet time with my fire pit. Is that too much to ask? Apparently, to Karen, it is. Let me tell you a little more about my backyard while we're here. It's not fancy, but it's mine. The grass is soft, and I've got this old wooden fence that's a little wobbly but still standing. There's a big tree in one corner, an oak tree with thick branches that make cool shadows in the firelight. I've got 2 chairs by the fire pit, just in case a friend stops by. Tonight, though, it's just me. Well, me and Karen, I guess. The fire pit sits on a flat spot in the middle of the yard. It's got a little ring of stones around it that I set up myself. I'm proud of it. It's my little spot to relax. I look at Karen again. She's still on the phone, talking loud enough for the whole street to hear. Yes, hello, 911? This is Karen Thompson from Maple Street. I've got a neighbor here with an illegal fire. It's a danger to everyone. I roll my eyes. Illegal fire? Come on. I want to laugh, but I don't. I just sit there, letting her talk. She's pacing now, back and forth in front of my fence. Her shoes make that tap 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 sound again. It's driving me crazy. But then, I notice something weird. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a shadow move. Not Karen's shadow, something else. I turn my head a little, trying not to let her see me looking. Down the street, under the glow of a streetlight, there's a car. It's parked, and the lights are off. That's odd. Most people around here don't just sit in their cars at night. I squint, trying to see better. Is someone inside? I can't tell. The windows are dark. My heart beats a little faster. What's going on? I shake my head and tell myself it's nothing. Maybe it's just a neighbor coming home late. But still, it feels strange. Karen's still yapping on her phone, and I'm starting to wonder if this night could get any weirder. Spoiler alert, it totally can. And it will. But you've got to keep listening to find out how. So, let's talk about this fire pit for a second. It's not some giant bonfire or anything crazy. It's small, like, really small. The flames are just big enough to warm my hands and roast a marshmallow. I've got logs stacked neatly next to it, and I only use a few at a time. I'm careful. I don't want any trouble. I even read the HOA rules last week, just to be sure. It says fire pits are fine if they're small and safe. Mine's both. I've got that water bucket right there, and I'm not dumb, I know how to put out a fire if I need to. So why is Karen freaking out? I don't get it. Maybe it's because she just likes being mean. That's what I think. She's always picking on someone. Last month, she yelled at Mr. Davis down the street because his dog dug a tiny hole in his own yard. A week before that, she told Mrs. Carter her mailbox was too bright because it's painted yellow. Who cares about a yellow mailbox? Karen, that's who. She's got a problem with everything and everyone. And now, it's my turn. I lean back in my chair and watch her. She's still pacing, still talking. Yes, officer, you need to send someone right now, she says into the phone. I sigh. This is ridiculous. I just wanted a quiet night. I didn't sign up for this. My marshmallow falls off the stick and lands in the fire. Poof, it's gone, turning black in the flames. Great. Thanks, Karen. But here's the cool part, the part that makes the story awesome. Karen thinks she's the star of this show. She thinks she's going to get me in big trouble with my little fire pit. She's standing there, all puffed up like a peacock, acting like she's the queen of the neighborhood. But what she doesn't know, what she can't even guess, is that this night isn't about me. It's about her. Yep, Karen's got a surprise coming, and it's not from me. Someone else is out there, watching, waiting. And it's going to change everything. I don't know it yet, either. Not really. I mean, I saw that car, and it's making me curious. But I don't have the whole picture. Not yet. All I know is Karen's making a big fuss, and I'm stuck here listening to it. The fire's still going, popping and glowing. The stars are still shining. And I'm still hoping I can just get back to my quiet night. So, here's a question for you, friends: what would you do if your neighbor tried to ruin your fun over something as simple as a fire? Would you argue? Would you ignore them? Drop your answer in the comments, I want to hear. And tell me where you're watching from today. Are you by a fire pit too? Or maybe you're inside, all cozy with a blanket? Let me know. Oh, and one more thing: if you like stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Because this is just the start. Karen's got no idea what's coming, and I'm about to find out right along with you. Stick around, it's going to get good. So, there I am, just chilling in my backyard. The fire pit's crackling, the marshmallows are melting, and I'm feeling pretty good. It's a cold Friday night, and the stars are twinkling like little lights in the sky. My little house sits in this quiet neighborhood where folks usually wave and smile. I'm wrapped in a blanket, sipping hot cocoa, and thinking, man, this is nice. The fire's small and cozy, just a few logs burning low, making the air warm around me. Everything's perfect. Or at least, it was perfect. Then, I hear it. A sound. It's sharp and quick, like someone stomping hard. Tap tap tap. I look up from my marshmallow, and my heart does a little jump. Oh no. It's her. It's Karen. She's coming straight for me, storming across the street like a tornado with legs. Her heels hit the pavement, tap tap tap, louder and louder. She's got her phone in one hand, clutched tight like a weapon. In her other hand? Her trusty clipboard. Yep, that clipboard she carries everywhere, like it's her crown and she's the queen of the neighborhood. Karen stops right at the edge of my yard. She's tall and skinny, with big glasses that make her look like an owl. Her hair's short and neat, and she's wearing a jacket that's buttoned all the way up. She's glaring at me. Oh boy, is she glaring. Her eyes are narrowed, and her mouth is twisted into a frown. She's got that look. You know, the one like she's about to fine me for breathing too loud or something silly like that. I swallow hard. My marshmallow's still on the stick, but I'm not eating it now. I'm just staring back at her, waiting for whatever's coming. Jake, she snaps. Her voice is so loud it bounces off the fence and scares away the crickets. They stop chirping, and it's dead quiet except for her yelling. What do you think you're doing? That fire pit is a violation. She points at my little fire like it's a monster. I'm calling 911, this is a safety hazard. Her words hit me like a slap. 911? Really? Over my tiny fire pit? I blink at her, trying to figure out if she's serious. Spoiler, she totally is. I take a deep breath and try to stay calm. Karen, I say, keeping my voice nice and steady, it's just a small fire. I check the rules. It's allowed. I point at the fire pit to show her. It's not big at all, just a little metal circle with a few flames dancing inside. I've got a bucket of water right next to me, ready to splash it if anything goes wrong. I'm not dumb. I made sure everything's safe. The HOA rules, the ones she's always waving around, say small fire pits are okay. I read them last week, just to be sure. So what's her problem? But Karen? She's not listening. Not even a little. She shakes her head so fast her glasses wobble. No, 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 she says, her voice getting louder. You don't get it, Jake. This is dangerous. You can't just do whatever you want. She waves her clipboard in the air like it's a magic wand that'll make me disappear. The papers on it flap in the wind, and I can see her handwriting all over them, big, messy scribbles. She's probably writing down every bad thing I've ever done, like that time I forgot to mow my lawn for 2 days. Yep, she's that kind of neighbor. You'll regret this, she says, pointing her finger at me. I run this neighborhood. Her voice is sharp, like a teacher scolding a kid who forgot their homework. She's smirking now, a little twist of her lips that says she thinks she's already won. She holds up her phone and starts dialing. Beep beep beep. I can hear the buttons as she presses them. She's really doing it. She's calling 911 on me. Over a fire pit. My jaw drops. This is crazy. I'm annoyed now. Really annoyed. I worked all week, and all I wanted was a quiet night with my fire pit and some marshmallows. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. But Karen, she's making it a big deal. I lean back in my chair and shrug, trying to act like it's no big thing. Go ahead, Karen, I say, keeping my voice cool. Call whoever you want. I toss another log on the fire just to bug her. The flames jump a little higher, and she gasps like I just set the whole yard on fire. Jake, she yells. Stop that right now. But here's the best part, the part that makes the story so wild. Karen thinks she's in control. She's standing there, all bossy with her phone and her clipboard, acting like she's the queen of everything. She's smirking like she's already got me in trouble. But what she doesn't know, what she can't even imagine, is that her night's about to take a turn she never saw coming. Oh yeah, something big is waiting for her. Something she's not ready for. And it's not about my fire pit. Nope. It's about her. Can you guess what's coming? Don't worry, I won't tell you yet. You've got to keep listening. Let me paint the picture for you. My backyard's small and simple. There's a wooden fence around it, a little wobbly but still standing tall. The grass is soft under my feet, and I've got this big oak tree in the corner with branches that stretch out like arms. The fire pit's in the middle, sitting on a flat spot with a ring of stones I put there myself. It's glowing orange and yellow, and the heat feels nice on my hands. I've got 2 chairs, one for me, and one that's empty tonight. My blanket's over my legs, and my hot cocoa sitting on the ground next to me, steam curling up from the mug. It's cozy. It's mine. And Karen's ruining it. She's still on her phone, pacing back and forth in front of my fence. Tap 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 go her heels. It's driving me nuts. Yes, hello, 911, she says, loud enough for the whole street to hear. This is Karen Thompson from Maple Street. I've got a neighbor here breaking the rules. She glares at me while she talks, her eyes like lasers. He's got a fire pit going. It's a safety hazard. You need to send someone right now. I roll my eyes so hard I think they might fall out. A safety hazard? Come on. My fire's tiny. It's not even smoky. I've got everything under control. Karen, I try again, it's not a big deal. Look at it. I point at the fire pit again. The flames are small, just flickering happily. It's safe. I promise. But she's not having it. She puts one hand on her hip and shakes her head. Safe, she says, like it's the dumbest word she's ever heard. You don't know what safe means, Jake. This could burn down the whole neighborhood. Burn down the neighborhood? With my little fire pit? I want to laugh, but I don't. She's too ridiculous. She keeps talking on the phone. Yes, officer, it's 23 Maple Street. Hurry, please. She's nodding like she's super important. Her clipboard's tucked under her arm now, and she's pacing faster. Tap tap tap. I can't stand that sound. It's like a drum beating in my head. I sip my cocoa, trying to ignore her. The fire's still going, and I poke it with my stick to keep it neat. Karen sees me do it and gasps again. He's making it worse, she yells into the phone. He's adding more wood. I smirk a little. Yeah, I am. So what? I look at her and wonder why she's like this. Karen's always been the bossy type. She lives across the street in a house that's way too perfect. Her lawn's so green it looks fake, and her flowers are lined up like soldiers. She's got signs everywhere: no parking, keep off grass, quiet after 9. She's the HOA queen, always telling people what to do. Last week, she yelled at a kid for riding his bike too fast. The week before that, she told Mrs. Lopez her dog's leash was the wrong color. The wrong color? Who cares about that? Karen does, that's who. And now, she's after me. My fire pit's her big target tonight. I don't get it. Why can't she just relax? It's Friday. Doesn't she have anything better to do? I guess not. She's too busy running the neighborhood, or at least, thinking she runs it. She's smirking again, that little twist of her lips. She thinks she's winning. She thinks the police are going to show up and shut me down. She's wrong. Oh, she's so wrong. But she doesn't know it yet. I lean back in my chair and watch her. The fire's warm on my face, and the stars are still shining. My cocoa's getting cold, but I don't care. I'm annoyed, sure, but I'm not scared. Karen can call whoever she wants. I know I'm not breaking any rules. I checked. I'm good. She's just making noise. That's what she does, makes noise and waves her clipboard like it's a big deal. But something's coming. Something she's not ready for. And it's going to be awesome. Let me tell you about my fire pit again, just so you get it. It's not fancy. It's a little metal thing, round and sturdy, with short legs that keep it off the ground. I bought it last summer because I wanted a spot to relax. It's not huge, maybe 2 feet wide. The flames are small, just enough to roast a marshmallow or warm my hands. I've got a pile of logs next to it, all cut up nice and neat. I only use a few at a time. I'm careful. I've got that water bucket right there, and I know how to use it. I'm not some kid playing with matches. I'm Jake, and I just want a quiet night. But Karen doesn't see it that way. To her, my fire pit's like a giant danger sign. She's pacing again, tap tap tap, talking fast into her phone. Yes, it's an emergency, she says. He won't listen. He's breaking every rule. I shake my head. Every rule? That's a stretch. I'm breaking her rules, maybe the ones she makes up in her head. But the real rules? Nope. I'm fine. I think about arguing with her. I could stand up, walk over, and show her the HOA book. I've got it inside page 12, where it says fire pits are okay. But I don't bother. She wouldn't listen. She never does. She's too busy being the queen. So I just sit there, letting her talk. The fire pops, and a spark flies up into the air. It's pretty, like a tiny star. Karen doesn't think so. She jumps back like it's going to attack her. See, she yells. It's out of control. Out of control? It's one spark. I can't help it, I laugh a little. She hears me and spins around. You think this is funny, Jake, she snaps. We'll see who's laughing when the police get here. Her face is red now, and her glasses are slipping down her nose. She pushes them back up and keeps pacing. Tap tap tap. I'm so tired of that sound. I sip my cocoa again, but it's cold now. Bummer. My marshmallow's long gone, I dropped it in the fire earlier when she startled me. This night's not going how I planned. But here's the thing, Karen's night isn't going how she planned, either. She doesn't know it yet, but something's waiting for her. Something big. She's so busy yelling at me, so sure she's right, that she's missing the real story. I don't know what it is yet, not all of it. But I've got a feeling. A little tickle in my stomach that says this isn't just about my fire pit. There's more coming. And it's going to be good. I look at her again. She's still on the phone, still pacing. The fire's glowing, and the air's getting colder. My blanket's slipping off my legs, but I pull it back up. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here, watching this play out. Karen thinks she's the boss. She thinks she's got me beat. But she's wrong. Oh, she's so wrong. Can you guess what's waiting for her? Don't try too hard, I'm not telling you yet. You've got to stick with me to find out. So, there's the scene, me in my chair, the fire pit burning low, and Karen storming around like a big, bossy bird. She's loud, she's mad, and she's calling 911. I'm annoyed, but I'm keeping cool. The tension's building like a rubber band, stretching tighter and tighter. Something's going to snap. And when it does, oh man, it's going to be wild. Keep listening, friends, this is just the start. So, there I am, sitting in my backyard, trying to enjoy my Friday night. The fire pit's glowing, the marshmallows are long gone, and I'm wrapped in a blanket because it's chilly out. My name's Jake, by the way, just a regular guy who likes quiet nights. But right now, quiet is the last thing I've got. Karen's here. Yep, HOA Karen, the queen of complaints. She's on my driveway, pacing back and forth like she owns the place. Her heels go tap 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 on the pavement, and she's holding her phone up to her ear, talking loud enough to wake up the whole neighborhood. Yes, officer, there's an illegal fire at 23 Maple Street, she says into the phone. Send someone quick. Her voice is sharp, like a teacher yelling at a kid who's goofing off. She's glaring at my fire pit like it's the worst thing she's ever seen. I roll my eyes so hard I almost see the back of my head. Illegal fire? Come on. It's just a little fire pit. I've got a bucket of water right next to me, and the flames are tiny, barely big enough to warm my hands. But Karen doesn't care. She's on a mission. I'm annoyed, so I decide to have a little fun. I grab another log from my pile and toss it onto the fire. It lands with a thud, and the flames jump up a bit, crackling louder. Karen's eyes go wide, and she stops pacing for a second. Jake, she snaps, pointing at me like I just broke a window. What are you doing? Stop that. I shrug and give her a little smile. Just keeping warm, Karen, I say, all casual like. She glares at me harder, her lips pressed tight. You're so disrespectful, she mutters. Kids these days no manners at all. I laugh under my breath. Kids. I'm not a kid. I'm old enough to have my own house, thank you very much. But to Karen, I'm just some troublemaker who needs to follow her rules. She's still on the phone, pacing again. Tap tap tap. Yes, officer, he's making it worse, she says. He's adding more wood right now. I shake my head. She's acting like I'm burning down the whole street. It's ridiculous. While she's busy ranting, I notice something weird. I glance past her, down the street. There are two cars parked there, just sitting under a streetlight. Their lights are off, and they're super quiet. No one's getting out. No one's driving away. That's odd, right? Most people around here don't just park and sit in the dark. My neighborhood's pretty normal. Folks come home, go inside, and that's it. So why are those cars there? I squint, trying to see better, but it's too dark to tell if anyone's inside. My stomach does a tiny flip. Something feels funny about this. But I don't say anything yet. Karen's still going on, and I don't want her to notice me looking. She's too busy anyway. She's waving her clipboard now, that big, messy clipboard she always carries. It's got papers clipped to it, flapping in the wind. I bet she's got a list of every bad thing I've ever done. Jake's been a problem for weeks, she says into the phone. He left his trash can out an hour too long last month. And now this fire? He's out of control. I roll my eyes again. An hour too long? Seriously? She's got nothing better to do than watch my trash can? I lean back in my chair and pull my blanket tighter. The fire's still burning, popping, and snapping. It's cozy, even with Karen yelling. My backyard's small, just a patch of grass with a wobbly wooden fence and a big oak tree in the corner. The tree's branches make cool shadows on the ground, dancing in the firelight. I've got two chairs by the fire pit, one for me, and one that's empty tonight. My hot cocoa's on the ground, But it's cold now. Bummer. I was having a good night until Karen showed up. Minutes pass, and she's still at it. Pacing, talking, pacing, talking. Tap tap tap. He's breaking every rule in the book, she says. Someone needs to stop him. I'm starting to wonder if she's got a life. It's Friday night. Doesn't she have friends? A movie to watch? Something? I guess not. She's too busy being the HOA queen, bossing everyone around. She's tall and skinny, with big glasses and short hair that's always perfect. Her jacket's buttoned up tight, and she's got that frown that never goes away. She's like a grumpy cat, always mad about something. I poke the fire with my stick, watching the flames. Karen's voice is like a buzz in my ears, loud and annoying. I'm trying to tune her out, but it's hard. He doesn't care about safety, she says. He's putting us all in danger. Danger? From my little fire pit? I want to laugh, but I don't. She's too wound up. Her heels keep tapping, and her phone's still glued to her ear. Yes, officer, hurry, she says. This can't wait. Then, I hear something new. A sound in the distance. It's faint at first, like a little whine. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. Sirens. My heart beats a little faster. Are they really coming? Over this? I look at Karen, and she's smirking again. That little twist of her lips is back. She thinks she's won. She thinks those sirens are for me, that the police are going to roll up and tell me to put out my fire. See, Jake, she says, all smug. I told you. You're in trouble now. She crosses her arms and stands there, waiting like she's the star of the show. But here's the thing, the really juicy part. Those sirens. They're not for my fire pit. Nope. Karen doesn't know it yet, but they're coming for something else. Something way bigger than me and my marshmallows. Oh, if only she knew. I don't know everything yet either, but I've got a feeling. Those cars down the street, they're part of it. I can tell. Something's up, and it's about to get wild. What do you think's going to happen? Hang tight, friends, this is where it gets good. Let me back up a bit and tell you more. So, Karen's pacing my driveway, right? It's just a little strip of concrete that leads to my garage. My house is small, a white box with a red door and a porch out front. The backyard's where I am now, behind the house, hidden by that wobbly fence. The fire pit's in the middle, glowing bright. I've got a pile of logs next to it, all stacked up neat. The flames are small, like I said, just enough to make the night feel cozy. I'm sitting in my chair, wrapped up, watching Karen make her big scene. She's still talking about all the rules I've broken. And last summer, she says, he put up a birdhouse without asking. A birdhouse? Yeah, I did that. It's a little wooden box on a pole by the oak tree. The birds love it, and it's cute. But Karen? She hated it. Said it was against the rules. I checked, there's no rule about birdhouses. She just likes to complain. She's listing everything now, like she's reading from her clipboard. And his grass was too tall in July. And his mailbox isn't the right shade of brown. I roll my eyes again. My mailbox is fine. It's brown enough. I look at those cars again, down the street. They're still there, quiet and dark. No lights, no movement. My stomach flips again. Why are they just sitting there? It's creepy. I try to focus on Karen instead, but my eyes keep sneaking back to those cars. Something's not right. I can feel it. The sirens are getting louder now, wee-oh-oh, closer every second. Karen's smirking bigger, thinking she's got me trapped. But I'm not so sure. Let me tell you about my fire pit real quick. It's not fancy, just a metal circle with legs. I got it last summer because I wanted a spot to chill. It's small, maybe 2 feet wide, and the flames never get too big. I'm careful with it. I've got that water bucket, and I know how to put it out if I need to. I'm not some goofy kid, I'm Jake, and I just like roasting marshmallows. That's all. But to Karen, it's like I'm a big danger. She's nuts. She's still pacing, still ranting. He thinks he can do whatever he wants, she says. But I'm in charge here. In charge? She's not the boss of me. She's just the HOA lady who likes to yell. The sirens are super loud now. We oh right around the corner, I bet. My heart's thumping. Karen's standing there, all proud, like she's about to win a prize. You're done, Jake, she says. They're coming for you. I shrug again. We'll see, I say, all calm. She doesn't like that. Her smirk fades a little, and she glares harder. But those cars, I can't stop thinking about them. Two of them, parked down the street. No lights. No sound. They're just there, waiting. I squint again, trying to see. Are they cops? Neighbors? Something else? I don't know. The shadows are too dark. The street lights flickering a little, making it hard to tell. My backyard feels small all of a sudden, like the world's closing in. The fire's still going, but it's not as cozy anymore. Something's happening. Something big. The sirens are here now. We oh super close. I can see red and blue lights flashing through the trees. Karen's practically dancing, she's so happy. Here they come, she says, clapping her hands. You're in big trouble now, Jake. She's so sure of herself. So sure those sirens are for me. But I've got a sneaky feeling they're not. Those cars down the street, they're a clue. I don't know how yet, but they're part of this. Karen's about to find out something she didn't expect. I poke the fire again, watching the sparks fly up. The night's cold, and my blanket's slipping off my legs. I pull it back up and wait. Karen's still pacing, still talking. Yes, officer, they're here, she says into the phone. Thank you. She hangs up and looks at me, all smug. You're finished, she says. But I don't think so. The sirens stop, and I hear car doors opening. Footsteps. Voices. It's happening. Something's coming. And it's not what Karen thinks. What do you think's about to happen, friends? Can you guess? Don't worry, I won't spill it yet. This is just the build-up, the part where it gets juicy. The tension's growing, like a balloon about to pop. Karen's smirking, the cars are waiting, and the sirens are here. Hang tight, this is where it starts to get really good. So, here we are, things are getting wild. I'm Jake, just a regular guy, sitting in my backyard by my little fire pit. It's a chilly Friday night, and the stars are twinkling above me. My fire's glowing, small and cozy, with tiny flames dancing around the logs. I've got a blanket over my legs and a mug of cold cocoa next to me. I was having a good time until Karen showed up. Yep, HOA Karen, the queen of complaints. She's been pacing my driveway, yelling about my fire pit, and calling 911 like it's some big emergency. She thinks she's the boss of everything. But oh boy, is she in for a surprise. The police cars roll up fast. Their lights flash red and blue, lighting up the whole street. The sirens stop with a loud wee-oh-oh, and it's quiet for a second. Karen's practically dancing with glee. She's jumping up and down like she just won a prize. See, Jake. I told you, she crows, her voice loud and happy. She's pointing at me with her clipboard, smirking like she's the smartest person ever. You're in big trouble now, she says. She's so sure the police are here for me, here to shut down my fire pit and tell me off. Her glasses are slipping down her nose, but she's too excited to fix them. I'm sitting there, watching it all. My heart's beating a little fast because, well, police cars pulling up isn't normal for a Friday night. The fire's still crackling, and I poke it with my stick just to keep my hands busy. Karen's smirking bigger, her arms crossed like she's the winner of some game. I roll my eyes and wait. Let's see what happens, I think. She's so happy, it's almost funny. Almost. Two officers step out of the cars. They're tall and serious, wearing dark uniforms with shiny badges. One's got a hat on, and the other's holding a little notebook. I figure they're going to walk over to me, look at my fire pit, and maybe tell me to put it out. That's what Karen wants, right? She called them, so they must be here for me. But then oh man, this is where it gets good. They don't even glance at my fire pit. Nope. Not a peek. Instead, they turn and walk straight toward Karen. Straight to her. My eyes go wide. What's going on? Karen's still grinning, all proud and smug. She's waving her phone around like it's proof she's right. But when the officers get closer, her grin starts to fade. Fast. The first officer, he's the one with the hat, stops right in front of her. He looks down at her and says, "Ma'am, are you Karen Thompson?" His voice is deep and calm, like he's asking about the weather. Karen blinks. She looks confused, like she didn't hear him right. Yes," she says, her voice wobbly now. "But I called you about him." She points at me again, her finger shaking a little. I'm just sitting there, my jaw practically on the ground. What did he say? Karen Thompson? That's her. Why are they asking for her? I look at the fire pit, it's still small, still safe. The bucket of water's right next to me, and the flames are tiny. This isn't about me, is it? My heart's thumping louder now. Something big is happening. I can feel it. The officer shakes his head. "No, ma'am," he says. "We've been trying to reach you." He pauses, and the other officer steps closer, flipping open his notebook. "There's a warrant out for your arrest," the first officer says. "Multiple complaints about harassment and falsifying reports with the HOA." Wait, what? A warrant? Arrest? HOA. My jaw drops even more. I didn't know it could drop this far. I stare at Karen, then at the officers, then back at Karen. This is nuts. Karen's face changes in a flash. Her smug grin is gone, like, totally gone. Her mouth opens, then closes, then opens again. She looks like a fish out of water. "What?" she screeches, so loud it hurts my ears. "This is outrageous." Her face turns red, redder than the flames in my fire pit. Her glasses slip all the way down her nose now, and she pushes them back up with a shaky hand. "You've got it wrong," she yells. "I'm the one keeping this neighborhood safe. He's the problem." She's pointing at me again, but the officers don't even turn their heads. I'm stunned. I mean, stunned. A warrant for Karen? Harassment? Falsifying reports? What does that even mean? I lean forward in my chair, the blanket slipping off my legs. The fire's still going, but I'm not thinking about it anymore. This is way too good. Karen's yelling now, waving her clipboard like it's going to save her. "This is a mistake," she says. "I'm the HOA president. I don't break rules, I make them." But the officers aren't buying it. The one with the notebook pulls out a pair of handcuffs. Handcuffs? Oh man, this is wild. "Ma'am, we've got complaints from a lot of people," the first officer says. "They say you've been bothering them for months. Making up fines, changing reports, yelling at folks for no reason." He nods at the other officer, who steps closer to Karen. "We've been watching you," he says. Watching her? My brain's spinning. Then it hits me, those cars. The ones I saw down the street earlier, parked with their lights off. I look past Karen, and sure enough, they're still there. 2 dark cars, quiet and sneaky. Undercover cops? They've been watching her for weeks. My jaw's still dropped, but now I'm grinning a little. This is unreal. Karen's been the big boss around here, always telling everyone what to do. She's the one who yells about trash cans and grass and fire pits. But turns out, the neighbors were sick of it. Sick of her. They called the cops on her, not me. Who saw that coming? Not Karen, that's for sure. She's screeching again, her voice high and panicky. "This is crazy. I didn't do anything wrong. Check your papers. Call someone." The officer with the handcuffs shakes his head. "We've got all we need, ma'am," he says. "You're coming with us." He reaches for her arm, and she pulls back, waving her clipboard like a shield. "Don't touch me," she yells. "I'm Karen Thompson. I run this neighborhood." But the officers don't care. The first one grabs her arm, gentle but firm, and the second one takes the clipboard away. It falls to the ground with a clatter, papers spilling everywhere. I can see her messy handwriting on them, lists and notes and rules she made up. Karen's face is so red now, it's almost purple. She's kicking the air a little, her heels scraping the driveway. "Let me go," she shouts. "This is a mistake. Jake's the one you want. Look at that fire." But the officers don't even glance my way. The one with the hat looks at me for the first time and nods. "Your fire pit looks fine, kid," he says. Enjoy your night. Enjoy my night? I blink at him, then grin bigger. Thanks, I say, still shocked. Karen's losing it. What? She screeches again. His fire pit's fine? Are you kidding me? She's twisting around, trying to pull free, but the officers are calm. They've got her now. The handcuffs click around her wrists, click, click, and she's officially caught. My mouth's still open, but I'm laughing a little now. This is too good. Karen, the HOA queen, in handcuffs? I never thought I'd see this. Let me tell you about those cars again, because this is the big twist. I saw them earlier, 2 cars parked down the street, lights off, super quiet. I thought it was weird, but I didn't know what it meant. Now I do. They were undercover cops. They've been watching Karen for weeks, waiting for the right moment. Neighbors have been calling, complaining about her non-stop nagging. She's been making up fake fines, pretending people broke rules, and keeping the money for herself. That's what falsifying reports means. She lied on her HOA papers. And the harassment? That's all her yelling and bossing everyone around. Turns out, she's the real troublemaker, not me. I look at the fire pit again. It's still small, still safe. The flames are low now, just glowing softly. The bucket of water's right there, untouched. I didn't do anything wrong. Karen thought she could get me in trouble, but it backfired big time. She's the one in trouble now, and it's all because the neighbors had enough. They teamed up, called the cops, and set this trap. Those undercover cars? They were part of it. Watching, waiting, ready to catch her. And tonight, with her calling 911 about my fire pit, they finally had their chance. Karen's still yelling as the officers lead her to the car. This is wrong. You'll hear from my lawyer, she shouts. Her glasses are crooked now, and her perfect hair's all messy. Her clipboard's on the ground, papers blowing away in the wind. I watch one float past my fence, a list of violations with my name on it. Ha! Not anymore, Karen. The officers open the car door, and she's still fighting. I'm innocent, she says. Jake's the bad guy. But no one's listening. They slide her into the back seat, and she's gone out of my driveway, out of my night. I sit there, staring at the police cars. The lights are still flashing red and blue, red and blue. My backyard feels quiet again, even with all the craziness. The fire's popping, and the stars are still out. My blanket's on the ground now. I dropped it when I got so excited. I pick it up and wrap it around me again. Wow. Just wow. Karen's arrested. I can't believe it. Who saw that coming? Not her, that's for sure. She thought she was the queen, but the real surprise was waiting for her all along. The officers get back in their cars, and I hear the engines start. One of them waves at me a little tip of his hat. I wave back, still grinning. This is the best night ever. Karen's gone, my fire pit's safe, and the neighborhood's free of her nagging, at least for now. I poke the fire again, and a spark flies up into the dark. It's pretty, like a tiny firework. I laugh out loud. What a twist. What a reveal. Karen's night just went from bossy to busted, and I got to watch it all. Okay, friends, buckle up, this is the part where everything comes together. I'm Jake, just a regular guy, sitting in my backyard by my little fire pit. It's a cold Friday night, and the stars are twinkling above me. My fire's glowing, small and cozy, with tiny flames flickering around the logs. I've got a blanket over my legs, and my hot cocoa's sitting on the ground, cold now, but I don't care. Why? Because something wild just happened. Karen, yep, HOA Karen, the queen of complaints, got caught. And I mean really caught. Let's rewind a bit so you can see how it all ends. The police cars are parked in front of my house, their lights flashing red and blue, red and blue. Karen's standing in my driveway, yelling her head off about my fire pit. She called 911, thinking she'd get me in trouble. But surprise. The cops weren't here for me, they were here for her. Turns out, she's been a big troublemaker, and they had a warrant for her arrest. A warrant. That's like a permission slip to take her away. They said she was harassing people and faking HOA reports. Crazy, right? And now, it's time for justice. The officers grab Karen's arms, gentle but firm. One of them pulls out handcuffs, shiny metal bracelets that click around her wrists. Click, click. She's caught for real now. Her clipboard, that big, messy thing she always carries, falls out of her hands and hits the ground with a loud clatter. Papers fly everywhere, blowing across my driveway like leaves in the wind. I see her handwriting on them lists of rules and names, all the stuff she's been mad about. But it doesn't matter anymore. She's done. Karen's freaking out. "Let me go," she yells, her voice high and squeaky. "This is wrong. I'll sue you all. This is injustice." She's twisting around, trying to pull free, but the officers are calm. They don't even blink. Her glasses are crooked, her hair's all messy, and her face is redder than a tomato. She looks like a cartoon character who just got caught stealing cookies. "I'm the HOA president," she shouts. "You can't do this to me." But no one's buying it. Not the cops, not me, not anyone. One officer, the tall one with the hat, looks over at me. I'm still sitting by my fire pit, wrapped in my blanket, watching it all. He nods, all cool and friendly. "Enjoy your fire pit, kid," he says. "Looks safe to us." Safe? My fire pit? I blink at him, then grin so big my cheeks hurt. "Thanks," I say, my voice all happy. I can't help it, I laugh out loud. A real, big laugh that echoes in the night. "Enjoy my fire pit?" "Oh, I will. Karen's going away, and my fire's okay? This is awesome." The other officer takes Karen's arm and starts walking her to the police car. Her heels scrape the pavement, tap 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 one last time. She's still yelling, but it's quieter now, like she's running out of steam. "Lawsuits," she says. "You'll hear from my lawyer." But the cops just keep moving. They open the car door, and she tries to pull back. "No," she shouts. "I'm innocent. Jake's the bad guy." She's pointing at me with her cuffed hands, but it's no use. The officer helps her into the back seat, gentle but firm, and shuts the door. Slam. She's in there now, glaring out the window at me. I wave at her, just a little wiggle of my fingers. "Bye-bye, Karen." I laugh again, quieter this time. The neighborhood feels lighter already. Like a big, heavy cloud just floated away. The air's crisp and cold, but the fire's warm on my face. I poke it with my stick, and the flames jump a little, happy and bright. The police cars start their engines, vroom, vroom, and the lights keep flashing. Red and blue dance across my fence, my grass, my little house. The officers get in, and one of them waves at me again. I wave back, still grinning. Then they drive off, slow and steady, taking Karen with them. She's gone. Really gone. I sit there for a minute, just soaking it in. My backyard's quiet again. The stars are twinkling, and the fire's crackling, pop, pop, pop. My blanket's slipping off my legs, but I pull it back up. The bucket of water's still next to me, untouched. My fire pit's fine. It's always been fine. Karen thought she could ruin my night, but she didn't. She's the one who got ruined. I laugh again, shaking my head. What a night! What a crazy, wild night! Later, after the cops are gone and my fire's burning low, I start hearing the real story. It's the next day, Saturday, and I'm out on my porch drinking juice. My neighbor, Mr. Davis, walks over with his dog, a fluffy little guy named Max. "Hey, Jake," he says, all excited. "Did you hear about Karen?" I nod, sipping my juice. "Yeah, the cops took her away last night." I say. "What happened?" Mr. Davis grins and sits on my porch steps. Max wags his tail and sniffs my shoes. "She's been faking stuff," Mr. Davis says. "HOA fines, making them up and keeping the money." My eyes go wide. "Faking fines? Keeping money? What do you mean?" I ask. He leans closer, like it's a big secret. "She'd tell people they broke rules, like their grass was too tall or their mailbox was wrong. Then she'd say they owed money, like $20 or $50. People paid her because they didn't want trouble. But it was all fake. She kept the cash for herself." My jaw drops. "That's sneaky. That's mean." "Wow," I say. "How'd they find out?" Mr. Davis pets Max and keeps talking. "Neighbors got mad," he says. She fined Mrs. Lopez for her dog barking $20. But Mrs. Lopez checked the rules, and there's no fine for that. Then Mr. Carter got fined for his yellow mailbox $30. He checked too, no rule against yellow. People started talking, and they figured it out. She was lying. So they called the cops, and the cops watched her for weeks. Weeks. Those undercover cars I saw, they were part of it. I think about my fire pit. So my fire last night, I say, and Mr. Davis laughs. Yep, he says. She called 911, thinking she'd get you. But the cops were already after her. Your fire pit was the spark that brought her down. The spark that brought her down? I love that. My little fire pit, small and safe, ended up being the big thing that caught her. Sweet, right? I grin and sip my juice. That's wild, I say. Mr. Davis nods. Sure is. She's gone now, no more nagging. I look at my backyard from the porch. The fire pit sitting there, cold now, but still mine. The grass is soft, the fence is wobbly, and the oak tree's branches wave in the breeze. It's peaceful. No Karen pacing, no tap 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 of her heels. Just quiet. I think about last night, her yelling, the cops showing up, the handcuffs clicking. It feels like a dream, but it was real. And now, she's gone. Justice served, big time. By the next week, things get even better. I'm outside again, mowing my lawn, when Mrs. Lopez walks by. She's got her dog on a leash, a little white one that yaps sometimes. Jake, she says, waving. Did you hear? We've got a new HOA president. A new one? Really? I ask, turning off my mower. She nods, all happy. Yep. His name's Mr. Patel. He lives down the street. He's nice, no yelling, no fake fines. And guess what? He doesn't care about marshmallows. Marshmallows? I laugh. You mean my fire pit? I ask. He's okay with it? She grins. Totally okay. He said small fires are fine as long as they're safe. You're good. I'm so happy I could jump. A new HOA president who's cool? No more Karen? This is the best. I finish mowing and head to my backyard. I grab some logs, set up my fire pit, and light it up. Pop, pop, crackle. The flames start small, then grow a little, warm and bright. I grab a stick and a marshmallow, fluffy and white, and hold it over the fire. It turns golden, then brown, all gooey and perfect. I take a bite. Yum. Sweet and warm, just how I like it. The stars are out again, twinkling like they're happy too. The neighborhood feels new, lighter, freer, better. I think about Karen one more time. She's not here anymore. No more clipboard, no more rules she made up, no more yelling about silly stuff. She thought she ran everything, but she didn't. The neighbors fought back, the cops caught her, and my fire pit helped make it happen. It's funny, my little fire, the one she hated, ended up being her big downfall. Justice served, right? I smile and roast another marshmallow. Life's good now. Really good. Hey there, friends. We've made it to the end of this wild story, and wow, what a ride it's been. I'm Jake, just a regular guy with a little fire pit, and I've got some thoughts to share. So, here's the thing, sometimes, the people who act like they're in charge, like they own the whole world, are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. Yep, I'm talking about Karen, HOA Karen, the queen of complaints. She thought she could control everyone, bossing us around with her clipboard and her rules. But in the end, she got burned worse than my firewood. And trust me, that's saying something, because my fire pit makes some pretty toasty logs. Let's think about this for a minute. Picture me in my backyard. It's a chilly Friday night, and the stars are twinkling up above. My fire pit's glowing, small and cozy, with tiny flames dancing around. I've got a blanket over my legs, and I'm just chilling, roasting marshmallows. Life's good, right? But then Karen storms in, all loud and bossy, yelling about my fire pit like it's the worst thing ever. She thought she was the big shot, the one who made the rules. She had her phone, her clipboard, and that smirk like she was untouchable. She thought she could scare me, get me in trouble, and run the show. But oh boy, was she wrong. See, Karen acted tough, but she was hiding stuff. Big stuff. She was faking HOA fines, making up rules, and keeping the money for herself. She'd tell people their grass was too tall or their mailbox was the wrong color, then make them pay her. Sneaky, huh? She thought no one would catch her. She thought she was the boss forever. But the neighbors? They weren't dumb. They got mad, they teamed up, and they called the cops. And my little fire pit, the one she hated so much, ended up being the spark that lit it all up. The cops were watching her, waiting, and when she called 911 on me, bam! They nabbed her. Handcuffs, police cars, the whole deal. She got burned, big time. It's funny when you think about it. Karen judged me. She saw me sitting there, all quiet with my fire pit, and figured I was just some silly kid breaking her rules. She didn't think I mattered. She didn't think I had any power. But here's the cool part, you never know who's really holding the power. I didn't fight her with yelling or big words. I just sat there, kept my cool, and let her mess herself up. Turns out, the quiet guy with the fire pit had more going for him than she thought. And the neighbors? They had power to stand up and say, no more. It just goes to show, don't judge people by how loud they are or how small they seem. The real strength might be hiding right under your nose. Let's picture my backyard again, because it's where it all happened. It's not big, just a little patch of grass with a wobbly wooden fence around it. There's a giant oak tree in the corner, its branches stretching out like a big hug. My fire pit sits in the middle, a small metal circle with short legs. It's simple, but I love it. That night, the flames were tiny, just enough to roast a marshmallow and warm my hands. I had a bucket of water next to me, ready if I needed it. I wasn't doing anything fancy, just enjoying my Friday. But Karen? She saw that fire and flipped out. She thought it made me a troublemaker. She didn't see the real trouble herself. Now, imagine her in my driveway, pacing back and forth. Tap 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 went her heels. She had her clipboard, her phone, and that bossy voice. Jake, she yelled. That fire pit's a violation. She thought she had it all figured out. She called 911, smirking like she'd won. But then the cops showed up, not for me, for her. They put handcuffs on her, and her clipboard hit the ground. She yelled about lawsuits and injustice, but no one cared. They took her away, and the neighborhood got quiet again. My fire pit stayed lit, and I stayed happy. Karen's big plan? It burned out, just like a bad log in my fire. So, what's the lesson here? I've been thinking about it a lot. Sometimes, the loudest people, the ones who act like they're the best, aren't what they seem. Karen was loud. She was bossy. She waved her clipboard like a magic wand, thinking it gave her power. But real power isn't about yelling or making rules for everyone else. It's about doing what's right, even when no one's watching. It's about being yourself, like me with my fire pit, and letting the truth come out. Karen hid secrets, but they couldn't stay hidden forever. The neighbors saw through her, and justice came knocking, literally. I keep picturing that moment, the cops taking her away. The lights flashing, red and blue, all over my yard. My fire pit glowing, steady and safe. The stars shining, like they were cheering. It felt good. Really good. Because here's the thing, when someone tries to push you down, when they judge you for something small like a fire pit, they might just trip over their own mess. Karen thought she could control me, control everyone. But she couldn't. She got burned by her own tricks, and I got to watch it happen. Pretty cool, huh? Let's talk about my fire pit one more time, because it's the star of the story. It's not big or fancy, just a little metal thing I bought last summer. I set it up in my yard with a ring of stones around it. I keep my logs stacked neat, and I only use a few at a time. It's safe. It's mine. I love sitting by it, roasting marshmallows, feeling the warmth on my face. That's all I wanted that night, just a quiet, happy time. Karen didn't get that. She saw my fire and judged me. She thought I was breaking rules, but I wasn't. She was the one breaking rules, big ones. And in the end, my little fire pit won. It stayed lit, while she got hauled off. Don't judge a quiet guy with a fire pit, friends. You never know what's really going on. I've been thinking about power a lot since that night. Karen had power, or she thought she did. She was the HOA president, always telling us what to do. Cut your grass. Move your trash can. No fire pits. She acted like she was the queen of Maple Street. But real power isn't about bossing people around. It's quieter than that. It's in the neighbors who got tired of her and called the cops. It's in me, sitting by my fire, not letting her scare me. It's in the truth coming out, slow and steady, like flames growing in my pit. Karen's power was fake, it burned up fast. Real power lasts. What about you, folks? Have you ever had a Karen moment in your life? You know, someone who acted big and bossy, but turned out to be wrong? Maybe a kid at school who thought they were in charge, or a grown-up who made silly rules. I bet you've got stories. Drop them in the comments, I want to hear. Tell me what happened, where you were, and how it felt when the truth came out. Did you feel like I did, like Justice One? I bet you did. And while you're at it, let me know where you're watching from today. Are you by a fire pit too? Or maybe inside with a snack? I'm curious. This whole adventure's been a wild ride, hasn't it? From Karen yelling in my driveway to the cops taking her away, it's like a movie. My fire pit started it all, just a little spark that turned into a big win. I'm still laughing about it. If you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up. It means a lot to me. I love sharing these crazy moments with you, and I've got more coming. So stick around, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll have more fun together, I promise. Before I go, let's think about one last thing. Life's funny sometimes. People like Karen pop up, acting big and loud, but they don't always win. The quiet ones, the ones who keep going, who don't give up, they've got power too. Like me with my fire pit, or the neighbors who said, enough. You've got power like that, friends. Even if you're quiet, even if you feel small, you can make a difference. Don't let anyone judge you for being you. Keep your fire burning, whatever that is for you, and stay strong. You never know when your spark might light up something amazing. So, that's it from me, Jake, the guy with the fire pit that beat the HOA queen. See you in the next story, folks. Stay curious, stay awesome, and keep being you. Bye for now.